welcome to my channel, and subscribe, like, follow, and welcome to my space. I'm Mian Pretty, and this is my channel for motherhood, postpartum, and fitness. I love sharing stories, and I just love being educated and learning more about motherhood each and every day. So today is my delivery story for my second born. His name is Rio. So this delivery was interesting. As you've seen from my previous video, I had a very traumatic birth experience for my firstborn. And I was so determined, very determined, to have an easier delivery for my second born. So I really tried everything in the book. I really tried. I had the exercises, I had my bouncing ball. I was equipped to birth this child. So this story is for 2021 November. So I had my son in October 2020, my firstborn, and I had my secondborn in 2021 November. Yeah, 1 year, a 1 year age gap. My delivery story started on what was it? It was on a Thursday night. Yeah, it was on a Thursday night. And from the other video, you see all those points I had listed. I did everything. I didn't want disappointment this time. And by far, this is I think this is the birth where everything went according to plan. The birth and the hospital stay. In my third delivery, the birth went according to plan, but the hospital stay was something else. So we can get into the story. Okay, the first the first one, the birth didn't go according to plan, the hospital stay didn't go according to plan, so it was nil. The second one, the birth went according to plan and the hospital stay went according to plan. Win-win. The third delivery, the birth was excellent, win, but the hospital stay, it was good, but not so good. So yeah, I didn't win on both. So this delivery story started on Thursday evening. So that Thursday, we work with my husband. So we had a few pointers that delivery was gonna come soon, but we didn't know when. So to start this story, on Tuesday that week, I decided, I had a lot of back-to-back Braxton contractions, and I was so sure, okay, this is not labor, but okay, let me just go checked. So I went into a close hospital from where we were staying at the moment and got checked. I just told the doctor, this is how I feel, I'm almost close to my due date, and I think I just need to get checked if there's anything happening, so that, because these contractions are suspicious. Why are they coming every other time? So I got checked and I was 2 centimeters. And you remember from my first birth, I was 2 centimeters and I was already in the hospital. So this time I did not want that. So the doctor starts telling me, oh, because you're 2 centimeters, let us admit you. I knew this trick. Hey, Kenyan doctors, I see you. And I told him, you know what, I have a toddler in the house. I'll come back. So you're saying I shall progress? It was a Tuesday. So the doctor said, by Tuesday night or tomorrow, Wednesday, the baby should be here. And I'm like, okay, cool, good. If the baby comes, fine, I will come back. Okay, that was not my hospital. I just wanted to get checked. I didn't want to give birth there, but that didn't mean for me to rush to the hospital because I am 2 centimeters. I didn't even have any weird pain at that. So what happened? I went back home. They tell my husband, yeah, the doctor said I'm 2 centimeters dilated, and but I won't go get admitted. The doctor says that by tomorrow I should have progressed more. Maybe labor pains will have started coming, the contractions. And you're like, cool. So this is Tuesday. Tuesday passes, no contractions. Tuesday, Wednesday passes, no contractions. Thursday comes, no contractions. So you can imagine if I was admitted on Tuesday, basically it will have been an induction because labor didn't come naturally at all. So on Thursday, we were just like, okay, labor is not coming. So we were like, on Thursday, labor was not starting. So we were just like, okay, I'll just go to work with you. So we just went to work with my husband. And I think we went to Ndonyo. We were to get some meat from the slaughter. Then we came back home. So he dropped me home at about 3 p.m. We ate lunch and he decided to go and continue working. So that 3 p.m. I relaxed and I was like, okay, let me try the midwife's brew. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. But it did work. I guess it did work. I don't know. Because my body was already preparing for labor, I guess the midwife's brew propelled me. So I made the brew at about 5 p.m. and drank it and just went to sleep and just relax. At about 7 p.m., I'm still sleeping. 6 to 7 p.m., I feel some contractions and I tell my husband over the phone, hey, can you come home? I think the contractions have started. And my husband is like, okay, actually I'm at Galitos. I'm like, okay, bring me some Galitos. Okay, so it's like, fine. And he comes. So he comes home at about 8 p.m. I'm like, where's my Galitos? He says, okay, I heard you were in labor. I just rushed. So I was like, okay. So this time I had intended to labor at home as much as possible, go to the hospital when I feel as if the contractions have increased. And basically, yeah, that was it. Just an easy labor, no induction, not a lot of cervical checks, and that was it. So he came at 8 p.m. Now this is Thursday night. The contractions were starting to build up, and I told him, okay, let us just go to Two Rivers. I'd like to get a burger because I'm not eating home. I'm going to get a burger, and I wanted to get snacks from the supermarket because at the hospital they don't allow people to bring you junk food. So I wanted to buy snacks and go with them to hospital. So that's what we did. We got the snacks and we went and ate our burgers. And yeah, it was interesting. And I noticed this was about 10 p.m. and the contractions had peaked. So I was like, oh, the baby is crying. Let me get the baby. This is Riziki. My that one. She is such a darling. So where were we? Yeah, so we went and got our burgers and I noted that the contractions were increasing. So we went home. This was about 11 p.m. and the contractions had increased. So I was bouncing on my ball as usual. And now my husband started panicking. He's like, I think we need to go to hospital. And I'm like, no, let's wait. Let's wait. Okay. Then I also felt, okay, these contractions are getting stronger. Maybe let me just prepare and we'll go to the hospital. So we got the bags to the car, and we just parked outside because we knew we were just getting out that night. So what happened is that at about towards midnight, I got in the shower, took a long shower, and finally I was like, okay, fine, let's go. And we got at the hospital. It was like an hour away, but it was like midnight. There was no traffic or anything. So we got to the hospital at about 1 a.m. and I was checked on arrival. I was admitted, then relaxed, then checked, and their contractions had significantly increased. It was significant. So upon checking, I was 4 centimeters. Oh my goodness. I felt so bad because I felt as if the contractions were so bad. I thought maybe I was like 6 centimeters. So I was 4 centimeters, and they kept the monitors to monitor the baby's heartbeat and the contraction intensity. And and I think at that point I realized the bed was not for me. The bed was like a prison, and because I had to lay down and let the monitors do their job, it was killing me. So basically, throughout the entire labor process, sitting and bouncing on my ball was more comfortable than sleeping on the bed, which is something important to note. So by this time, I had learned about the breathing techniques, so it was easier to cope with each contractions. I'd breathe it down and breathe it away. So this time it was easier. The labor was not, the contractions were not so bad. I knew what was happening. So this is about 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I start bouncing, and funny thing, my husband decides he is so tired because I am not using the bed. He'll sleep on the bed. The guy slept. The guy slept. He slept until, I think I woke him up at 5 a.m. So all through, I am laboring alone, jumping on my ball. Anyway, it is all forgiven. And I wake him up. I'm like, boss, wake up. The nurse told me to call her at 5 a.m. and you're sleeping on my bed. We need the bed for her to check me. It is all forgiven. So I call the nurse. The nurse comes and she's like, oh, you're 6 centimeters. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this thing is not ending. And at this point, I was so tired. So at this point, it's 5 to 6 a.m. and I am getting really, really serious contractions. So at this point, it gets to my mind, oh, this hospital has an epidural. It is expensive, but I may as well take it because this pain is so bad. So I tell my husband, you know what? I think I'll take the epidural because it's like I'm dying. Like this pain is so bad. I'm trying to breathe, but it's beyond breathing. The pain is now serious. This is about 5 to 6, and I call in the nurse, and my husband was like, he asked how much is the epidural. I was like, it's 50K. And he's like, no, you are a strong woman. I'm like, I'm not a strong woman. I want the epidural. So we call in the nurse, and I'm like, I need the epidural. So the nurse is like, what we can do, we can break your waters so that the labor progresses. And I'm like, no, don't break my waters. And if you're going to break my waters, break them after the epidural, because I know how painful it is to just break your waters without anything. So I was like, if you're going to break my waters, break them after I have the epidural. That's all. So the nurse went. So what saved us was that it is 6 a.m. All the hospital staff are changing shifts. So the anesthesiologist was not there. He was already gone, and they start asking, do we ask you externally for an anesthesiologist? And I'm like, at this point I don't know. And I'm still on my ball, bouncing. I'm almost in tears. You know, those questions of why am I here? Why did I come back? Oh my goodness. And my husband is there not understanding why you need an epidural. So I just continued bouncing, and I just told her, okay, you just know what you can do. And as I was bouncing, I just felt something come out. And apparently it was the mucus plug or something. So this is about 6 a.m. and they had brought the food. I was in no capacity to eat. So I called the nurse again, and the nurse comes and checks me. And I'm like, hey, I felt something come out and I need you to check, because I don't know, it had like some, blood and stuff. And she checks me and I'm at 8 centimeters. And I tell her, you know what, I need to go pee. And the nurse is like, no, you are not going to the toilet. And I'm like, yes, it's peeing. I don't feel like pooping. It's peeing. Just let me go to the toilet to pee. And she's like, no, we are going to the delivery room right now. So we go to the delivery room. I'm on the bed, and my husband comes and he's by my side. And all this time, the water has not broken. So I'm just on the delivery bed, dying from the contractions, because I don't even think I had a minute to breathe. And the lady is just there, preparing the stuff and everything. And then she checks me and she's like, oh my goodness, the baby's head is here. Because all this time I was breathing through the contractions. I was not even pushing, but the baby was coming out. That is how labor should be. No one should force you to push out the baby. From my first delivery video, you may understand the implications that happened when the baby was pushed out. The baby was pushed out. So how can I put it? The baby didn't come out naturally with every contraction. These nurses just wanted me to push out the baby so fast, and that damaged me. So this second time, I didn't want to push so prematurely, and because I was holding off, the baby was already coming out. So the nurse had to really rush and bring in the team of the gynae, the pediatrician, and the nurses to start setting up so that they receive the baby. And with just like 2 pushes, the baby was out, because the baby's head was already there. So the baby was already out, and it was so interesting. Hi, mama. Oh. So the baby came out, all the pain went, and yeah, that is how we had our second one. I went back to the ward, no complication, no tear whatsoever. And I went and ate my breakfast. They held my baby in the nursery for observation and also to let you rest, and that was it. So it was a beautiful experience. And I remember watching one delivery video, and that lady was saying that when you feel like giving up, when you feel that you can no longer take the pain, that you need an epidural, that is when the baby is almost out. And I can attest to that When you feel that you're almost dying, that is when the baby is almost, it won't even last an hour before that baby comes. So I can attest to that experience. So the recovery was nice, and I was out of the hospital the next day. Yeah, so for me, my second birth was I don't know, the hospital was nice, but I also feel as if the birth was a bit, it wasn't so bad, really, because the contractions started at about 11 p.m. and I had the baby the next morning at 7 a.m. So it wasn't so bad. It wasn't a long labor, it wasn't so bad, but it was just intense. That delivery, if you haven't watched that video, it's already up. I think that was the most it is not pain-free, but it wasn't painful. The contractions were not painful, so you can see that story. It was my first video, and yeah. So I need to tend to the baby. Thank you for your audience. Thank you for your love. And yeah, this is my story. I'm so glad I've recorded all my stories, and oh, my babies will love these stories when they grow up. At least they'll have a recording of what actually happened the day they came to Earth. So yeah, so oh, she burped. Oh my goodness. Sorry, mama. Sorry, mama. Sorry. So subscribe, like, follow, share, comment, show me your love, and thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. Bye. 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 Okay, mama.